General Hospital spoilers tease that one of the new obsessions brewing quietly in Carly's mind is a powerful wave of anger, hurt, and determination, swelling so strongly that nothing can stop it. Carly has never been someone who easily gives up what she considers to be hers or her family's, and this time, when Michael's interests and the futures of Wiley and Amelia are threatened by the naive and thoughtless actions of Willow, the protective fire inside Carly has erupted into a storm ready to burn everything down. Willow, who Carly once saw as a daughter-in-law, as part of the family, is now the top target in Carly's plan to protect Michael's legacy. There is no room for comforting words or attempts at reconciliation. Carly has realized that Willow has gone too far, placing too much blind trust in Drew, whom Carly has always been suspicious of, and who is now tightening his grip on her family with legal papers and foolish decisions signed in moments of weakness and desperation. Willow, with her guardianship transfer agreement, has not only stabbed Carly in the heart but also threatened to erase all the progress she and Sonny have made over the years. Carly's plan is not drawn with impulsive rage, but with a cold, calculated precision. She knows that to regain the rights Michael should have been protected at all costs, she must take Willow down quickly, ruthlessly, and leave no chance for her to rise again. Carly will not attack openly. Instead, she will quietly sow doubt, shake the trust of those around Willow and her wisdom, and raise questions about her ability to be a mother. Her loyalty to the Corinthos family, and her soundness of mind in the life-or-death decisions she has made. Carly will not hesitate to exploit all the weaknesses Willow is trying to hide. Her insecurity, the guilt over past mistakes, the constant fear of not being good enough for the family she entered. Each whispered word, each deliberate revelation will be like a small but deep knife, slicing into Willow's fragile confidence until she can no longer hold on. At the same time, Carly is quietly preparing all the necessary evidence to prove that Willow has betrayed Michael's trust, placing the futures of Wiley and Amelia in the hands of a man she doesn't even fully understand. Carly will paint a picture where Willow is no longer a trustworthy mother, no longer a devoted wife, but just a weak, manipulable woman, and most dangerously, one who easily hands over control of the family to others. The closer the day Michael returns from Germany, the more Carly's fury grows. She knows that when Michael returns, he will still be weak, still vulnerable, and that will be the pivotal moment. Carly must act before Willow has the chance to try to fix her mistake, before Drew can solidify his position. In Carly's mind, this is not just a battle for the children, it is a battle for the soul of her family, a fight to preserve everything Sonny once protected. Willow, whether she realizes it or not, is now a pawn on the chessboard. Carly will use every relationship and influence she has in Port Charles to isolate Willow, making anyone who supports her doubt, reconsider. Carly will silently and meticulously cut every connection, every tie around Willow until she is completely alone, with no one left to trust. No one left to stand by her. One of the biggest events is quietly being orchestrated behind the scenes in Port Charles, a wave waiting to rise and drown everything. When everything explodes, Willow will be left with nothing but confusion and wreckage, and Carly, standing in the midst of the ruins, will reclaim everything for Michael, for Wiley, for Amelia, and for herself. Port Charles will witness a Carly never seen before, sharp, ruthless, and unstoppable. Willow will no longer be a worthy opponent. She is just the beginning of a larger, deeper purge, where Carly will redefine the entire underground force behind the Corinthos family. And when the storm passes, there will only be one person standing, Carly, the mother, the warrior. The new ruler who needs no declaration, no compromise. Carly is no longer just the loving mother protecting her family with her heart, she has become an uncontrollable force. A cold whirlwind sweeping through anything that stands in her way. When Carly sees Michael's interests and the future of Wiley and Amelia being handed over to Drew by Willow through a foolish and reckless guardianship transfer paper, every limit of her patience has been broken. There is no room for forgiveness, no more patience to hope for change. There is only a sharpened fury, shaped into a weapon, ready to sever all ties. All old connections with Willow. The explosion inside Carly has created a seismic tremor, one that poor Charles has yet to realize but will soon feel with every shockwave when the battle erupts. Carly no longer just wants to stop Willow, she wants to erase her from every equation involving the Corinthos family, to rip out any possibility of Willow reaching for power, honor, or the future of the children. To Carly, Willow is no longer just an innocent threat, she is a living mistake that needs to be completely and mercilessly corrected. In Carly's mind, a cold and brutal plan is being built step by step, detail by detail. She doesn't just want to expose Willow with accusations or whispered gossip. Carly wants to reveal every dark corner of Willow's being, the tangled past, the wrong choices, the indecisiveness, the weaknesses in judgment. Carly will use everything she can get her hands on. From old legal files, minor scandals that were once hidden, to Willow's strained relationships. Carly will not let any mistake pass without turning it into evidence against her. Drew, realizing Carly is preparing to strike, will not sit idly by. With all his loyalty and love for Willow, Drew will build a defensive wall around her, trying to protect Willow from the growing fury. But that protection will be the weakness Carly is waiting for. She knows that the more Drew resists, the more flaws will show, awkward defensive actions, emotional decisions that can be exploited. Carly will drag Drew into the muck of the battle, forcing him to reveal his true face, a man willing to sacrifice his honor, even Michael's family's future, just to protect a weak woman who no longer deserves it. Willow will no longer be the gentle, weak girl she once was. She will be forced to fight. Pushed into a corner where her survival instincts will have to emerge. But Carly has prepared for this. Carly knows that a Willow driven to desperation will easily make mistakes. A rash decision, an emotional outburst, an unguarded slip-up, just one mistake like that, and Carly will seize it and deliver the final blow. In the underground world of Port Charles, Carly has quietly activated old relationships, people who owe Sonny, individuals ready to intervene without asking why. A silent front is expanding, surrounding Drew and Willow little by little, tightening their space to the point where they have no room to breathe. Once the trap is complete, Carly will tighten her grip, no mercy, no hope for the enemy. Not only will Carly work legally, but she is also preparing to shatter Willow's image in the eyes of the Port Charles public. Small rumors, skillfully woven stories will seep into coffee shops, hospital lobbies, and lawyer offices. Willow will be portrayed as a weak, manipulable woman, incapable, and unworthy of carrying the responsibility for Wiley and Amelia. Every whispered word, every suspicious glance will be like an invisible knife, cutting deeper into Willow's fragile reputation until she has no one left on her side. Drew, in anger and fear, will try to fight back. But every move he makes will only push them deeper into Carly's trap. Willow, pushed to the brink, will have to face the inevitable choice, fight to the end and be crushed, or accept defeat. Give up all rights, and retreat in shame. Port Charles will no longer be the familiar city. Every street corner, every familiar face, every look from strangers will feel like a heavy judgment Willow cannot bear. Meanwhile, Carly will stand at the height of victory, looking down on all, witnessing the complete collapse of the enemy she chose. When the dust settles, when all the screams, tears, and justifications vanish in the storm of power Carly has created, one clear truth will remain: Carly has won, reclaimed everything that belongs to Michael, protected Wiley and Amelia at all costs, and reminded everyone that in Carly Spencer's world, betrayers never get a second chance. Drew, in his arrogance, is beginning to believe that all of Carly's actions simply stem from selfish jealousy. In Drew's eyes, Carly is nothing more than a woman hurt by losing control, someone who cannot stand to see Willow trust and rely on a man other than Michael or Sonny. Drew comforts himself with the idea that Carly is acting out of a mere impulse, that she is only jealous of the bond he and Willow share. But that smugness is clouding a much darker truth. Carly doesn't just want to destroy Willow. She wants to annihilate Drew as well. One of the crazy new events is quietly unfolding, driven by the growing obsession within Carly. Drew's betrayal. The deceit he thought he could keep hidden, has sparked an uncontrollable rage within Carly. To her, Drew is not only an accomplice in Willow's destruction of the Corinthos family's future. He is a personal traitor, someone who was once an ally, someone she trusted, now turning his back on her shamelessly. Carly understands that if she doesn't eliminate Drew, any effort to break Willow will be in vain. A new thirst for revenge is quietly burning in Carly's every heartbeat, a desire that has her willing to walk into a dead end. Ready to use any dirty tactic she once swore she would never resort to. Carly is no longer simply acting for her family, for Michael, or for the children. She is acting for herself. For her bruised pride, for the pain of someone who once loved, once trusted, and is now ruthlessly betrayed. Carly's plan to destroy Drew doesn't erupt like an outburst of anger. It is quiet, subtle, and incredibly dangerous. Carly knows that attacking Drew cannot be done in the usual way. Drew is a man of reputation, with a clean image. An overt attack would only backfire on Carly. Instead, Carly will slowly plant seeds of doubt in the community's mind, spreading subtle rumors about Drew's dishonesty in his dealings, about the unethical decisions he has made while pretending to do good. At the same time, Carly is planning to attack Drew from a legal standpoint. She has quietly gathered information on the slip-ups in Drew's business dealings. The shady agreements he thought no one would notice. With evidence in hand, Carly is ready to turn Drew from a model businessman into a fraud. Someone unfit to hold guardianship over Michael's children. But Carly doesn't stop there. She is quietly reaching out to those who were once close to Drew, exploiting old relationships. Cracks in the past that Drew has never fully addressed. She knows that Drew has had weak moments, poor decisions, and with a gentle push, the ideal world Drew has been trying to build will crumble like a sandcastle. Drew, in his blind confidence, doesn't realize the trap slowly closing around him. He still thinks of Carly as a wounded woman, an old lioness growling in despair. What he doesn't understand is that Carly has never fought based on impulsive emotions. She fights with logic. With the cold calculation of a warrior who has grown accustomed to loss and is willing to do whatever it takes to never suffer again. While Drew is still busy building weak defensive walls around Willow, Carly is systematically breaking down his credibility, reputation, and financial foundation. Every action he takes, every word he speaks in anger, only provides Carly with more material to paint a picture of an untrustworthy man, unqualified to be a pillar for any family. A new shock is gradually taking shape. A shock that will sweep both Willow and Drew from Carly's life, from Michael's life, and from the future of Wiley and Amelia. When that storm erupts, no one, not even Drew with all his current strength and confidence, will stand firm against the ruthless blow Carly has quietly prepared for so long. Port Charles is about to witness a huge change. A Carly reborn from the ashes, no longer lenient, no longer weak, but a beast ready to tear everything apart to ensure that what remains of the Corinthos family belongs to those most deserving, and that traitors like Drew will never have a place again. Michael, after a long period of recovery and quietly observing from afar, is now preparing to make a huge adjustment, a pivotal change not only for himself but for the future of the Corinthos family. While Port Charles is immersed in covert plots and cold confrontations, Michael has quietly realized that everything has changed, that those he once trusted most may now have become traitors. One of the newest, most brutal and irreversible shocks has arrived when Wiley, with the innocence and absolute honesty of a child, inadvertently reveals the crimes that Willow has been trying to conceal. Wiley's innocent yet sharp words have opened Michael's eyes, making him realize that all the justifications, all the tenderness Willow once displayed were just a thin veneer covering up dark truths. That revelation was like a hammer blow to the fragile trust Michael had left for Willow, completely shattering the image of the perfect wife he had tried so hard to hold on to. There is no more doubt, Willow has betrayed him, has placed the future of the children into the hands of another, and worse, has lied to him completely. The rage ignited in Michael is no longer the silent pain it once was. It has become a violent force, pushing him to act. Michael, with all his loyalty to Sonny's legacy, with all his love for Wiley and Amelia, understands that he cannot sit idly by for another second. And the only person who truly understands him, the only one who shares his fury, is none other than Carly. Carly, who has long prepared for this battle, immediately stands by Michael's side. In Carly's eyes, Wiley's revelation is not just an opportunity, it is a perfect weapon, a tool to legally and irrefutably remove Willow and Drew from Michael's life. With the evidence Wiley has unintentionally provided, Carly and Michael now hold all the power to strike directly. No more need for underground games, no more need for secrecy. Carly and Michael will step into the light, officially challenging Willow and Drew in front of the entire Port Charles community. A legal battle is about to be set in motion, where the goal is not just to regain custody of Wiley and Amelia, but to completely destroy Willow and Drew's reputation, credibility, and any hope they have of survival. This new explosion will plunge Port Charles into unprecedented chaos. Carly, with her sharpness and experience in fighting through countless family battles, will lead Michael step by step, using everything they have to drive Drew and Willow into a corner. Michael, with his newfound determination forged by pain and betrayal, will not hesitate to strike. He will no longer be the hesitant young man he once was. Now, Michael has become a true warrior, someone willing to sacrifice everything to protect the children, to protect the honor of his family. Willow, when faced with the irrefutable evidence from Wiley, will fall into a state of total panic. All her justifications will become meaningless. All her efforts to maintain the image of the perfect mother will vanish like a soap bubble. She will be pulled down from the throne she once thought she deserved to stand upon, pushed into a fight she cannot win. Drew, seeing himself and Willow cornered, will have to choose, fight to the bitter end in despair, or withdraw and accept disgraceful defeat. But no matter what he chooses, Carly and Michael have already made their decision. There is no turning back. Legal blows, media attacks, and silent assaults on Drew and Willow's reputation and assets will rain down relentlessly, until both have nothing left. Port Charles will witness a complete reconstruction. Carly and Michael will restore the Corinthos legacy in the way Sonny always intended, strong, clean, and uncompromising with any traitors. And when the storm subsides, only Carly and Michael will stand firm, with Wiley and Amelia safely protected in the arms of those truly deserving. A new chapter is about to unfold, a chapter not for the weak, not for dreamers. This will be an era of strength, of absolute loyalty, and of the ruthlessness necessary to survive in a world where only the strong are allowed to exist. In the end, what Carly and Michael had meticulously prepared culminated in an irreversible outcome. Willow, once basking in the light of mercy and forgiveness, had lost everything. Willow was officially stripped of her motherhood rights, losing the ability to decide the future of Wiley and Amelia, and any opportunity to continue as part of the Corinthos family. In court, before the eyes of all of Port Charles, the dream of an ideal family that Willow had once cherished evaporated in the moment the verdict was delivered. When the judge's gavel fell, there was no doubt left. Willow had lost. She collapsed on the very battlefield she thought she would win through innocence and emotion. The evidence, the candid but ruthless testimony from Wiley, the subtle plans Carly had set in motion like a raging storm, swept away every defense, every fragile dream Willow had clung to. Now, she had not only lost custody of her children, but she had also lost her honor, her image as a mother in the eyes of Wiley and Amelia, the children she had once sworn to protect with her very life. But the disaster didn't end with Willow. Drew, in a desperate attempt to protect Willow, had dragged himself into an endless pit of mud. Drew was also officially stripped of his privileges at the Quartermain family, losing his position, his trust, and above all, everything he once considered the foundation of his personal honor. The Quartermain board, under Carly and Michael's subtle yet powerful influence, had run out of patience with Drew's out-of-control actions and his continuous poor decisions. Drew, who once thought he was untouchable, was now pushed out of power, isolated, and abandoned in the very house he once considered his fortress. Everything collapsed faster than he could imagine, from his assets, social standing, to personal relationships that seemed unbreakable. Drew had not just failed. He had been crushed, stripped of all the confidence and arrogance he once held, exposing a hollow, defeated, and lonely man. Meanwhile, Carly and Michael stood at the peak of victory, looking down at the ruins they had coldly created. They didn't celebrate with grand displays, they stood in silence. But in their eyes burned an undeniable satisfaction. This was not just a legal victory. It was an assertion of power, a reminder that the Corinthos family would never be toppled by the weak. The traitors, those who dared to defy their bloodline. Port Charles was reeling from the weight of these events. Whispers filled the bars, hospitals, and law offices. Willow has lost everything. Drew has lost everything. Carly and Michael are in control. A new era begins, where there is no room for innocence or delusion. Only power, absolute loyalty. And those brave enough to seize it at any cost remain. Willow, after the trial, could only embrace the emptiness, wondering how everything had fallen apart so quickly. Drew, cast out from the Quartermaines, wandered like a ghost through the city that once honored him, now with no doors open to him. The two of them, now only have each other in their despair. But even their fragile love could not make up for all that had been lost. Carly, with the coldness of a warrior who has stepped through countless life-or-death battles, didn't look back. Michael, with loyalty cemented in blood and tears, moved forward, leading a new chapter for his family. A chapter that no longer had a place for betrayal. A chapter written with loyalty, honor, and the fire of those born to win. And as the night fell over Port Charles, this small city, once a place of dreams, of promises, now quietly bowed to the survivors, the strongest. Those who had dared to do anything to protect what was theirs.